So, is the Creality K2 Plus really worth it, or is it just another pricey 3D printer that looks good on paper? I'm going to walk through what it actually does for the kind of maker who needs speed, color and a bit of peace of mind while the machine is churning away. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's see if this combo lives up to the hype for hobbyists, educators, and small-scale entrepreneurs. First off, the biggest thing I noticed is the 16-color capability. For people who usually have to print a single-color prototype and then paint it later, this is a real time saver. Imagine you're designing a custom phone case and you want a gradient of 2 or 3 colors to flow seamlessly across the surface. Instead of printing 3 separate pieces and gluing them together, the K2 Plus can handle the whole thing in one go. That means you can go from concept to finished demo much faster, which is especially handy if you're trying to impress a client or a classroom. Speed is another claim that the machine leans on heavily. The spec sheet says 600 mm per second, and in practice it actually feels brisk without sacrificing the fine details you'd expect from slower prints. I tried a small gear set for a tabletop robot and the whole batch finished in under 10 minutes. For a small business that chips away at orders throughout the day, that kind of throughput can keep the workflow moving without the bottleneck you get with slower hobby-grade printers. Material compatibility is decent too. Creality advertises support for PLA, PTG, TPU, and even some flexible filaments. I ran a test with a TPU wristband prototype, and the printer handled the elasticity without the usual jams you sometimes see on cheaper machines. If you're a maker who likes to experiment with different filament types, say, a rigid PLA for structural parts and a flexible TPU for ergonomic grips, this printer lets you swap them out without a major recalibration. Now, let's talk about the dual AI cameras. Most printers just have a single webcam, if any, and you're left guessing if a layer is sticking or if the nozzle is clogged. The K2 Plus adds 2 cameras that give you a top-down and side view, and the AI software flags obvious issues like warping or a strand of filament that started to curl. I've caught a few prints that would have otherwise failed, simply because the software sent me a notification to pause before the problem got worse. That self-correction system feels like a safety net, especially if you're running the printer overnight. Stability is not something you can overlook, and the heavy-duty matrix frame does feel solid. The dual linear rails keep the carriage moving smoothly even at the higher speeds, and there's less vibration compared to the typical aluminum frame you see on budget models. I once printed a 350 by 350 by 350 mm tabletop organizer, pretty massive for a desktop printer, and the final part came out flat, with minimal ringing on the edges. If you're in a workshop or a classroom where the machine might get bumped, that extra rigidity can protect both the printer and the prints. From an educational standpoint, the K2 Plus works as a teaching tool without needing a lot of extra accessories. The large build volume means a whole class can collaborate on a single large model, think a topographic map or a scaled-down city layout, while still having room for individual experiments. The AI monitoring can be a talking point for lessons about automation, and the multicolor capability lets students explore concepts like color theory or material science in a very tactile way. All that said, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. The biggest upside for me is the ability to print in many colors without having to swap filaments manually. It cuts down on post-processing time and makes the final product look more professional. The speed really does help when you have multiple small jobs, and the AI camera alerts give a nice layer of confidence that you won't waste filament on a failed print. On the downside, the machine is a bit louder than a silent core printer, so if you're looking for a whisper-quiet setup for a home office, you might notice the hum. Also, the software for handling the multicolor prints can be a little finicky. Occasional glitches mean you'll have to restart the job and double-check the filament alignment. Overall, if you're the kind of maker who needs a larger build space, wants to experiment with several filaments at once, and appreciates